Welcome back to the Third Well Podcast. I'm Caleb.
I'm Shaps.
I'm very excited today because we got a special guest. Say hi, everybody, to Seth.
Hey, guys.
So,
Happy to be here.
Welcome.
This is one of the rare instances where Shaps brings a guest on the podcast.
I only bring the best.
That's right. He's only brought top tier members to this show. What are you doing, sir? Can I help you?
No.
As Shaps adjusts the sound system so he, can hear me better and not blow up in his ears.
Actually, no, you were yelling at me quite a lot.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Mm.
Well, you should have got here on time. Okay, so Seth, how do you know Shaps? Tell us a little bit about that without...
Well, Shaps and I, we work together.
Yeah.
We're kind of in the same field.
Mm.
I do more of like the sound engineering side of things, and Shaps.
I'm more of like in the producing field.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I've worked with you. Have I worked? I mean, you wouldn't remember me, but did I work with you before? I've done cameras before.
Have you done it since December?
No.
Oh, then no.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you're new to the whole spot.
I am.
Okay.
I'm new. So yeah, my wife and I, we moved here from Phoenix, and she was working at the place where Shaps and myself we both work at. She's in a completely different field altogether. But we moved here for her, and then I hung out and was a musician / I don't know, music director.
Yeah, sure.
For our time, and then it just kind of happened to where they're like, hey, we need a sound guy.
Yeah. So you're a musician. What do you play, or do you sing? Or
Yeah. So I've been a worship leader for since I was 15, so 15 years, and did all of that, and then with that came, learning different instruments. I mean, I started out as a drummer.
Yeah.
And so it all kind of started there. Then in college, I picked up guitar, and then towards the end of college, I figured out I could sing, and so then my whole early 20s was learning how to sing correctly and not hurt myself, because I did that a lot. So then all that, and then with that came some seasoning and getting better, and then I did that for until we moved here, and it's been fun. And now I'm more of a behind the scenes guy, which is different. But before this, I did a lot of studio work, and so all of that has translated into the live sound engineering.
So are you going to try and get back into making music or any type of worship type stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I write a lot with some of the guys that I work with, and then I also have my own stuff that I would love to get out at some point. It's just not happened so far.
Okay, so you haven't actually released anything yet to
I mean,
YouTube,
I have. When it was 2020, it was just like everybody and their mother was like an artist, and
SoundCloud.
Sure.
I watched several videos on people that blew up on SoundCloud during COVID, and now that's kind of dying down. Do you have any opinions about that? People that got famous overnight on COVID time.
That's awesome. Isn't that how Post Malone did it?
I think so.
He was it White Iverson or something like that.
He was famous before COVID. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, but that's what he blew up on was SoundCloud.
Okay, like a tiny program.
And it was just kind of like an overnight thing. And it's like, oh, hey, there it is.
I say, admittedly, until we have him on the show, which would be a dream. Well, I can ask him.
If you hear this, man, come on over.
Come on.
I tweeted at you. Tweet back at me.
Can you imagine if we started this show during COVID? My gosh.
I actually think we would have, and we knew each other. I just didn't have any creative bones in my body yet.
Right.
So, but I asked you about SoundCloud and getting famous over that. So how do you feel about that now that that's kind of dying down and some people aren't as I hate to use the word relevant. I don't know if you follow like the guy Rice Gum on YouTube, you're not relevant.
Right.
I hate hearing that, but that's what it is. They're losing relevancy now. So I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, well, I thought when it was all going down, it was such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Because we were seeing all these people that that were probably just working a job just to get by, pay the bills, live life. And then they're actually diving into their creativity. And I think we had a lot of really good art come out into the world during those times because we just really had nothing to do other than create. And I think it was as a terrible time as it was such a life giving season for creatives.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so, but yeah, I mean, it's dropping off now, which kind of like gives you the indicator that the world is going back to normal.
Yeah.
And it
Ugh.
is normal now.
Not price wise.
Normal.
Not price wise, yeah. Sheesh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's cool. I think it was more than anything, it was a time for all of us to get by, and I think the music and the all the other art that came out like helped do that.
Yeah. So how then would you have any advice for people? No, we don't have a big audience or anything. It's not like some millionaire
Yeah.
SoundCloud artist is gonna listen. But what would you have done if you were in their shoes and now SoundCloud is like, okay, it's on the way out now. Like those people that got famous during that time where we had nothing to do but look for new stuff. And what would you have done if you were in their shoes and you wanted to transition to adapt and kind of stay like relevant or popular? Like, is there anything you would have done that you're not seeing some of these artists do?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was, gosh, to be a musician and just solely a musician, or just like to make your own music as an independent artist, you're not just a musician or a singer. Like, you are taking care of your own social media. You're doing all of your branding. You're doing all of your PR. You're doing all the stuff. Like, most of the time, you are your own manager. And so I think that was a lot of the things where, a lot of people during that time didn't have that.
Yeah.
And that's what made it so cool. And it was also kind of made it almost kind of sideline the people that did have all that stuff or tried to do all that stuff. So I'm saying, like, if you want to still continue to do it and make that your living, like, you just need to be ready to be more than just the artist from SoundCloud or anything like that. You got to be really willing to sacrifice and hustle.
So what does that look like then, to sacrifice and to hustle? Like, because I know like people on my side, like who to sacrifice for them, it means family out of the picture. You have to focus on your career 100% and just like never get used to living in the same place for more than like a few months, if even, and just like keep on moving until you finally make it. And sometimes you either don't make it or you're like 50 or 60 or something. Somehow you made it. Like,
everybody's out of the house and you're retired and you're like, I don't know what to do with my life. So I'm gonna make music. Yeah, man, that for me, that was a very real conversation with my wife.
Yeah.
We lived in Philadelphia for like our first years of marriage. We were there for 3 years. And it was one of those things where, around year 2, I really kind of started to make a name for myself in that industry, and was getting to write these whole songs like by myself, but then also having an amazing team around me to put music and all these things while I'm still trying to produce music on top of that. And then, it was one of those things where in that moment the stars were aligned, everything was coming together, and we were making some really good music.
Yeah.
And really good art, and we were getting we were touring, we were doing like, this was my dream. Like, this is like I am making my living by the stuff I'm creating.
Yeah.
Like, that is any artist's dream. And, but with that, she was at home alone a lot. There were a lot of nights where I said, I'll be home at like 8 o'clock, and I didn't get home till 2 a.m.
Oh man.
And it was just, and being a young 20-something-year-old, I still made a lot of idiotic mistakes when it came to my personal life, just because it was a momentum thing. Like, I got this going on, and then I gotta be sure to, give it to the public correctly, and I gotta put all this fuel on the fire. And then, before I know it, my wife is like, hey man, like, I can't do this anymore. And, and there was a lot of stuff going on with her, and a lot of things while I was gone, happened. And it was some very traumatic things. And I mean, I was a part of it. I was just a lot more distracted than she was. and she was the one that had to deal with all of it
Mm.
all the time. And so that was kind of like the wake up call. And it's like, all right, I love my wife. I choose my wife over this.
Wow.
And it's not like I was like, oh, like I gave up everything. Like, no, I
gained a lot.
I gained a lot. Like I gained a relationship with my wife again. And it's not like that music, all that stuff that I was doing and making a name, like it just stopped. Like, no, I was still doing it. I was still getting to make music with some of my best friends. It's just like touring stopped. And then, but it was one of those things. I was in a new season of life. I was in a new area. Like we moved from Philadelphia to Louisville, Kentucky. And that itself, surprisingly, is a very artsy town because you're not too far from Nashville. And so I still got to like do a lot of more behind the scenes things, which was a weird transition for me because I had like built this identity on, oh, I'm a worship leader making music and I'm touring, I'm getting to go to all these places and like have an impact, and then all of that was gone.
Yeah.
And so I had to figure out like who is Seth beyond his work.
Yeah. And then so that came with the struggles. I know it did. So can you tell us about that at all? And then if you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah. So to put it, I mean, gosh, man, so Philly was really rough. Philly was one of those places that it's the environment.
Yeah.
You know, they pride themselves on being Philly rough.
Can I throw one thing in there?
Sure.
Just random question, then we'll get back to your story.
Cool.
Is Philadelphia Philly cheesesteak actually better there than anywhere else?
Absolutely.
I don't know if I believe that.
Dude,
Okay.
get wrecked, man. It's it's one of those things where I thought the same thing. I was I'm from Missouri originally.
Yeah, I used to actually live there for like 3 years when we bounced
in Missouri?
around. Yeah.
Where
just
at?
Random spot. There's Rolla, but we lived in Vichy.
Okay, Rolla. So I lived in a small town, like right off of Rolla.
Okay.
It's called Crocker, Missouri.
Crocker.
And so-
Jogging memories. I was like,
So it's like Crocker, then St. Robert, and then Rolla.
okay.
And so,
small
like,
world.
Yeah,
Wow.
man, that's
No way.
that's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean Missouri's what it is, so
Yeah,
it's like pretty much.
I feel like any food after that would be like.
Yeah, you win. Yeah, no, unless it's like fried, and then
This is the
Missouri's
worst.
got you always.
This is the worst McDonald's I've ever been to.
Seriously,
But okay, I'm sorry.
no,
continue.
you're good. Oh man,
I had to ask.
No, man, get on Missouri. I love Missouri. I miss it. And so Philly was really rough. They pride themselves on being this slogan of "We are Philly rough." I mean, like they threw batteries at Santa.
Oh no.
You know, like at the Eagles game, or like,
Oh.
and then my wife, being from Texas, being a Cowboys fan,
Yeah.
like, dude, she was like, we were at church, and she was like an idiot, I will say. She wore her like Cowboys garb, and like Cowboys and Eagles just don't mix. Just Philly fans and Cowboys fans don't mix.
Yeah.
And dude, she'd be like getting cursed out at church, and it's just
Oh,
like,
no.
man, okay. And that's just Philly, you
Yeah.
know. That's
Oh.
just like
And she's
part
looking
of,
at you, and you're like, "You did this to yourself."
yeah. I was like,
What do you think?
I don't know her.
Well, Jesus didn't transfer to Philly. He would have written a letter to the
Right.
Philadelphians.
Right.
Had
Yeah.
we been there.
Right.
Brotherly love, my
Yeah.
butt. No, but so that was the church that I was at and doing a lot of all the writing with and all that, and the community the community itself was fantastic. It was the church was yeah, man, it was under a lot of narcissistic leadership, and there was just a lot of, your day was based off of the senior pastors.
Yeah.
And there was just times where we would work 60 plus hours. I mean, at minimum 60 hours a week. You know, we would be in Thursday, and we would have Friday and Saturday off, but Thursday the senior pastor would change the complete series. And it's just like, oh crap, time to get your stuff together.
Yeah.
You know, and then on top of that, you know, like I, again, in my younger 20s, I was like figuring out my voice and figuring out like how to do all this correctly so I can do it for a long time.
Right.
And like I don't think they were. I think they were wanting somebody already ready to go and not learn and just know their stuff for like a very beginner level job.
Yeah.
So there was just very little grace and there was just a whole lot of tension all the time. But that's when I started writing music and doing all that stuff and producing music. That was the first time that I had found like my spot. And they were like, this is why you're here.
Yeah.
This is why you're here. And they really poured into that, and they poured a lot of like good gas on that fire. But that was like the time where it's like I didn't have to show up anymore. I kind of just got to be me. And well, I say show up, but it was still all just like, oh, I'm doing this because they like it. And you know, and then you know, it's like, oh, I showed you that I am worth it here. Like I showed you, like I am better than what you think I am. And I put all my fruit into that basket.
Sure.
And of course it all just got spoiled and rotten. And I started like writing and doing all these things, not just because like it was just an outpour of like who I believe God to be and what he's doing in my life. It was more so just like, hey, I'm doing this because you told me to, and I'm good at it, and I'm going to show you. And if you don't like it, frig off, you know, kind of thing. And so that became and like that was when all this stuff with my wife was taking place, and I was just so distracted by it because I was going to be like, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you who I am. I'm going to show you how good I am, and I did, and it was awesome, and I was in this spot. And then it's time to move into Louisville, Kentucky, which also, by the way, I will say is like the Seattle of the South. There's no sun ever in Louisville, Kentucky.
So just clouds all over the place.
Yes. So that on top of, you know, I'm in this position where, you know, I've dropped everything. I'm going to kind of start anew, try to figure out what's next. And then we were there for probably a month and a half, and my wife and I, we were asleep. Well, I was asleep. She wakes me up, and she, you know how wives do, like, hey, would you love me if I was a caterpillar? Kind of, you know, like, yes, you would be the sexiest caterpillar on the face of the earth.
You'd be the caterpilliest caterpillar I've ever seen.
Dude, I would totally watch you turn into a butterfly.
Oh, that's a good line.
And I wouldn't help you get out of the cocoon.
Yeah,
dude,
man.
make that a song. All right.
Yeah, dude.
I can see you doing that. I've even heard your music. Yeah, I don't even know your music, and I'm sitting here like, oh yeah. You would make several songs off of that. Quality.
But yeah, so we're talking, and she goes, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And it was the first time I had no idea.
Like an interviewer almost. That's crazy.
Yeah, and she, you know, she's a dreamer, but she's also so detail oriented,
practical. Yeah.
Yeah. And I am just the dreamer, and she, like, I'm the balloon, and I can just blow it up with huge ideas. She's the rope that like yanks me down, and is like, hey, here's what you can actually do, and.
Wow.
Nothing, you know, the women in our lives just love to humble us and make sure, like,
oh,
okay,
yeah.
here's what you can actually do.
Right.
Like,
And
hey,
no,
put
like,
that.
dude, she's the best. She keeps it straight. She keeps it real.
Wow, that's good.
And so it was the first time though I had no idea what I was going to be doing.
Yeah.
And I had gotten to this point where I was like, man, I was touring. I was kind of living my dream. I was like getting to meet people. I was getting to work with people. Like I got to, like, you know, I had the opportunity to record a whole single, one of my singles in New York City, above the skyline, and like coming from this like mountaintop moment into like literally the valley of Kentucky.
Right.
And it was just, I thought, as a stupid 25-year-old dude, I thought I peaked. I thought I was done. I was just like, you know what? I'm okay. And I literally said this to myself, which is the dumbest thing, and I don't ever recommend doing it. I was like, God, I guess I'm done. I guess I'm good. If you want me now, you can take me.
Wow.
And in that moment, I had the most
the most best.
the most earth-shattering panic attack. And growing up in Missouri, I didn't know what a panic attack was.
Right.
It was like, oh, you feel sad, oh, you feel anxious, go run a mile and you'll be fine. Or like pull yourself up by your bootstraps and do something with your life.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, what's there to stress out about in Missouri? Like,
Like nothing. Yeah, dude. Like I had one of the dopest childhoods.
and this grass is just so long.
Right?
They don't have good Philly cheesesteaks.
No, they don't. But we had fried catfish and
Yeah, we did.
all the fried chicken
We
you
did have
want.
that.
Like it was so good. And like I grew up next to my grandparents and my aunts and cousins, uncles, like we all were within a 10-mile radius of one another.
Right.
And so every single Sunday we were singing, we were hanging out, and like my cousins were my best friends.
Yeah.
My brothers, my sisters, and
So you couldn't go to your family about this either. 'cause
no,
they
yeah,
wouldn't
it
understand.
was very isolated. Like we didn't tell, I couldn't tell my parents
Yeah.
everything. My wife sure as heck wasn't going to tell her parents everything
Right.
because like her parents are, they're Hispanic and family's everything.
Yeah.
And, if we didn't want to give her parents a heart attack, we were just
Right.
going to be, and that was that. So I had this earth shattering panic attack, had no idea what was going on. And then that turns into more panic attacks.
Right.
And that turns into even more panic attacks to the point where I'm like deeply depressed, like very, very low depressed. And I lost like 50 something pounds in a matter of 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
And
So I just gotta be anxious, and I'll be good in time for my wedding.
yeah, dude, that is the look good naked diet, my friend. No, yeah, just go ahead and get off your meds for a minute, and then you're fine. Yeah, no, but that was me, and I was just like, man, I didn't know what to do. I was just crumbled down into this thing because I feel like I had just built myself up so much.
Right.
And it's like, God, this is what I'm going to do. Like, and it's like, I'm going to show you, Philly, who I can be. And it was like, that was never meant to be what God called me to be.
Right.
I think that, not to say that God allowed this to happen, but like it happened, but God was in the middle of it and God was in the midst of it. And that's where things kind of took a turn. And I had really great friends at the church that we were at in Louisville, which was like a church of 30-something thousand people. And they're like, hey, you should go to counseling. And I was like, I don't know what that looks like, but okay. And then, got on medication. I started taking Zoloft. Zoloft, you're the man. Thanks for helping.
Papa Zoe.
Yeah. And that's, in that time, figuring out what's happening and trying to create healthy habits. And on top of that, and just trying to relearn who I am beyond music. And that's just kind of been the tension ever since. It's like, because now I'm a sound engineer, never really ever wanted to do that to begin with. Like, and just like being open-handed. And that's what I think that time helped me out with most. It's just like, hey, no, like you can be more than this, and you got to be willing to do it. And so that's kind of that.
So
to answer your question in the longest way possible. Yeah.
And that's all the time we have for today.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
with
sorry,
with this amazing insight that you have, and hindsight actually, so you can either make this like your kid or just your younger self. What would you tell your younger self or your kid, like if you were in a conversation with them and they wanted to do what you did? What would your biggest piece of advice be?
don't. No,
Stop what you're doing.
just don't. No,
But if they
think
say the same things you said, like I want to be the top, I want to beat the city, like I want to
Right.
beat the charts,
right.
and they had the talent too.
Yeah, I think like that's not as good as it gets. I think that's just what I was like. That's like it's cool for a moment, but like if you're going to do it, you're more than likely going to lose yourself in the midst of it.
Yeah,
And you got to be willing to either live that lie for the rest of your life or go through a lot of hell, like literal hell to figure out who you are.
Now, I'm curious, do you think you could yourself now go back to that and handle it better, or do you think it's something you need to stay away from altogether?
Oh, I feel like I could handle it much better now.
Right.
I feel like I'm much better at saying no.
Okay.
And setting up boundaries and just knowing my limits and know who I'm doing it for.
Right.
and I feel like I'd be able to handle it much better now, and I could have a happy family life and everything in the midst of it. So, and that's honestly, it's what I'm doing now. Like there's not a whole lot of momentum behind it, but like I'm still getting to do music things with some of my best friends. I'm getting paid to do it. I'm living off of that. Like my dream is still there. It's different. You know, and
you
it's
call
cool.
it at whatever time, go home to the wife and kids now, or
Yeah, I mean, I have one on the way.
Cool.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's due in August, and
cool. Oh, that's so close.
yeah, it's coming. I'm scared out of my mind, but it's cool. But yeah, we got a little girl coming. Probably gonna name her Stevie. So, I mean, if not,
we can edit this episode.
Yeah, you can edit it and it'd be like Stevie, and then just like actually bleep it out and be like, put the real name up there.
Well, he does a really good rubber duck sound.
Dude, I've heard it.
Yeah. So like, put the duck over his mouth. That way nobody can read his lips.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's cool.
So let's see. And I want to ask this question. We do have to break in about 2 minutes to reset the camera work. But and if this question makes you uncomfortable, feel free to, I don't mind cutting that out.
Okay.
Or rather him. But how much of your work, because it was all worship music stuff or Christian type
mainly,
music?
yeah. But when I moved to Kentucky, that's when I kind of like just started doing my own thing.
Okay. And what was your own thing?
My own thing, it was called Hey Boy, and it was more of like a alternative indie rock thing.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
But my question with that, with clarifying, is how much of that would you say, because I know it sounds like you talked to the Lord back then and you were trying to incorporate him into the stuff you were doing. But how much of that was, in your opinion, more for you or more for him? Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, if you don't mind answering that.
I think for a lot of things, man, it was just the stuff that I wrote in my early 20s. It was just more so out of survival. And it was the survival of the fittest. And it was like, if I'm going to stay here and get paid the money that I'm getting paid and support my family the way that I want to support my family, like I have to do X, Y, and Z.
That is true. That plays a big factor into it. I would agree as well.
Like I a lot of these things came from within, like my own personal, walk with Christ and all that. But there was a lot of that was cluttered with, I got to do this for them. I got to do this for that.
You got to pay bills.
I got to do this. Like they're like, I would say there's nothing wrong with wanting to like live your life, pay your bills, and do all that stuff. But like, that's all it became was, and again, it more so became like, I'm going to show you just how good I am. And that's what really steered the ship per se in the wrong direction. So yes, at the beginning, it was for the Lord, and I was writing in that space, and it was really holy and innocent. But then it as a human, you make it about yourself, and then things happen. So
on the way here, you told me that you had a pretty hot take on Taylor Swift.
Yeah, dude, hot take.
Goddess.
The hottest take of takes.
Country and all music genres of this.
Let's just be real, man. She's like killing all of it.
Hold on a second. Shaps, hearing you talk about her, it sounds like you're in love with her.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Travis.
I will be perfectly honest about my standpoint. I don't think I've listened to more than like 4 Taylor Swift songs in my life. I'm fascinated by the rise of Taylor Swift and how she like literally took the entire world by storm and blew out every other artist imaginable by like 20 times, and like how actual cults are forming in her name. Like we all hear about cult followings, but these are legitimate cults. I'm pretty sure they kill animals in her name.
It's not like cults are very niche. Like it's a group of 50 or so people.
Yeah,
this is
they have to have over 1 million.
Here's
way over 1 million people.
I'm sorry, 1 million what? People that like her?
No, followers in these like cults.
Okay,
dude.
yeah.
And I just wonder how they would feel to know that like she doesn't care.
Oh, well, they won't even like. I think they're literally like, if she sneezes or coughs on them, they feel like it's a blessing.
Yeah,
like, legitimately, there are so many videos online of these entire watch parties that are in tears, listening parties, not even watch
It's
parties.
like
listening parties.
they can't even like tell what she's saying.
Yeah.
I promise you.
And like these last 2 albums that came out, most people, even some of her fans, are like, yeah, these were just like table scraps compared to her real
Right.
stuff.
Oh, for sure.
And then like everyone's still like, oh my gosh, could you believe she said this? And they're not.
Yum, 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 yum,
Yeah.
yum, 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 yum.
Well, let me ask you then, Seth, as an industry insider that
Oh,
you are.
gosh.
So when you say she
So
doesn't,
much insight.
I talked to who? Did you ever meet Taylor Swift? You ever in the same room with her?
were y'all like together?
Oh man, like
Is there a
like
song?
Never.
When's the
ever
collab?
getting together. So bad.
That was good.
That's not even the song I know her for.
No, dude. Again, my niche or my genre was very niche, and I
Yeah.
didn't meet very many cool people.
Well, you said like surprised she doesn't care. I'm kind of curious, like as a person who made music and probably had a decent following up until you made the transition to sound engineering.
Right.
How did you handle any potential people that appreciated your work? And then
Oh, dude, it was.
Mm.
I mean, it was very surreal.
yeah,
In that regard, of just like, wait, you like this?
yeah,
Like, and because when you're making it, we went through like my what's the word? My influence like to make it
Mhm.
and like
Yeah.
why I made it. But the main thing of it is like I love music and I like making music and I made music for myself
yeah.
and I enjoy that and and a lot of that was an outpour. Anyway,
Mm.
watch the rest of the podcast before all this.
Yeah.
When I had people come up to me and was like, "Yo, man, like we're gonna start using your songs."
Mm.
It's like at church, and I was like, "Whoa, that's cool. That's wild." And it was
Yeah.
very humbling. It was very neat. And then there was this one time we were watching a band in Kentucky. We had just moved to Kentucky, and there was this band we were watching. I don't know if I can say their name, but they are like, is that okay?
Yeah.
Is the band Camino? Do you guys know the band Camino?
I've only heard the name.
Anyway, the band Camino, they were great. Not so much anymore. Hot take.
We'll get back to Swift.
Yeah,
don't you
we'll
worry.
get back to
Yes.
Swift here in a minute.
Put the cat on. We'll be right back.
And like they got done with their show and it was cool. Like it was a sold out, like bar area, but it was
Yeah.
big. Like there was at least 2,000 people there, and which was cool. And then I had somebody come up to me and be like, "Aren't you in a band?"
Mm.
Oh
And
my
I was like,
gosh.
"Yeah, I am." They're like, "Dude, we saw you this past summer in wherever they saw," which it was like we did a lot of stuff on the East Coast,
Yeah.
and so it had to been on the East Coast, and that was so surreal,
Yeah,
and
I
like
say.
so weird to think like, oh wow, like that kid
I say.
that kid remembers me, like and
Uh,
because again, it's I don't see myself as anything other than just a dude that works at a church, and in that and like in all respects, I am that.
Right. I would say.
Like
Well, that's never gonna happen to us because one, you don't like being on camera,
Right.
okay, and then two, like I look like I'm even as we speak, I'm dressed like the guy that's about to run to the store and pick up some frozen pizzas. Like, are you from the
Right.
Third Wheel Podcast? No, I'm not.
No.
Can you please leave?
No, leave me alone.
But yeah. So back to Swifties now.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't like her that much, music wise, as
so
a person.
here's the deal. I think she is an incredible strategist.
Yeah.
I think she has a fantastic PR team. I think she works with some of the best managers out there.
Yeah, that has to be it because I don't even see her do interviews that much. I'm sure
Right.
she does, but
Yeah, like she puts herself with top of the line people.
yeah,
And I think that also like pours over into production. Like I know the guy from Bleachers, like that's his name. Like his artist name is Bleachers. Like he was her producer for these past 2 albums that came out and then the one before. Like Anti-Hero was produced by this guy, is John something. I
Yeah.
can't remember his name. If you're listening to this, you did great work.
you know who you are. Hit
Yeah.
us up in the comments.
Yeah. And like that's the thing. Like she's so good at placing herself with amazing people.
Yeah.
But because of that, like and her, to respect her, she is a fantastic lyricist.
Sure.
She's one of the best, probably one of like the best of our generation.
Yeah.
You know, like this is like the Michael Jackson of our time, or like the
Sure.
Madonna of our time, like
Yeah.
pop stardom.
I
Like,
hate to say it, but you're right.
like that's,
No,
I mean,
real.
it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
But with that, I don't think she's a very good singer. I don't think she's a good musician. That's all I think. Like, I don't think I don't get the hype per se, but on
Sure.
the other hand, I kind of do, because
Right.
the
She
people
fits that
she's working with, like
that, and her demographic is like that age group.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like you said, you brought up next generation Taylor Swift fans.
right. Well,
Be-
like in my generation, like Taylor Swift was the hot country chick.
Right. Right.
Like, dude, every single dude that I grew up with had a crush on Taylor Swift,
Yeah.
and like that was just it. And then like, yeah, and then
I'm sorry. Is Missouri considered country?
oh, dude, where we were from, yeah, dude. Yeah, we didn't have a stoplight in our town, so
No.
like, it was dirt road, like.
Lucky.
So like, what's interesting about Taylor is that, yeah, she is just like the next big thing. But what's weird is that I've never seen anyone really conquer just the globe like she has.
Right.
Like, you could say she's part of like the big music hall of fame, right? But she doesn't even like compare to some people who came before. Like, she's way beyond that now.
Oh yeah,
I
she's
mean,
a
like,
billionaire.
It's not one age demographic. It's not one gender. It's everyone.
Right.
Everyone's into Taylor Swift. And what
Almost
other
everybody.
well, pretty much. Well, the 1% we are.
Yeah.
What other artist can you say that's happened to? Maybe Michael Jackson.
I
but,
mean, I
like,
would have said the Beatles.
Yeah. Well, I don't even
Yeah.
like the Beatles. I know a lot of people who don't
I
like
mean-
the Beatles.
Okay, well, but at the time though,
Sure, everyone was into them, but like
Yeah.
again, that wasn't like. I suppose you're right. Like that
Right.
was a household name. That was a worldwide name. Like,
absolutely.
Metallica was the same way. But
Not our
like,
country.
yeah.
The world's a different
Internationally,
country.
definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
But then they fell off. Do you think
They fell off, or they died, or got old.
Well, what I'm saying, to my point, when
I'm sorry.
when Taylor, her time has come, basically.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Do you think she's going to go the way of the dodo, just like everyone else has, essentially,
Absolutely.
where it's like fall into obscurity, or do you think that something different's happening because of this new like weird religious cult like phenomenon, that something is going to be immortalized? Like, okay,
No.
I'm all I'm saying is we're in the time of AI, right?
Sure.
Sure.
Say
Johnny Cash is coming back.
not even. What if
Bigger and better.
So what
That's
if there's a record label that's like, hey, she's like getting really old, and they're like, we'll pay like $1 billion if we can just record a whole bunch of you and then like just make her own songs based off your voice. Obviously, she wouldn't be still as big, but do you think her voice alone could carry her, or it is her, like you said, her presence, her
Right.
celebrity status, essentially that carries her?
No, I think her musical ability and all that stuff, it does not stand a chance
Yeah,
without the presence of Taylor Swift.
Right.
I can't think of another artist. You're right, because I can't think of another artist who literally went to the Super Bowl and that's all people could talk about.
Right.
Right.
That's all people could talk
Yeah.
about for the Super Bowl.
Well,
Right. And she didn't even perform.
No, she did
Right.
nothing. All she did,
Well, she might
in a
have
way,
performed.
in a way, she did. The way she walked on stage and pretended to like Travis Kelce in that moment.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was a
Oh
performance.
my God.
And then he
He
was
scored a touchdown of my heart.
cameras.
Yeah.
okay. Well, actually, though, I'm wondering what age she's going to, I guess, fall off.
She's younger than a lot of people usually think. Like,
Oh, yeah. She's only like 32,
yeah,
33.
she's
something
got
like that.
so many years ahead of her.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
She does.
I don't know. I think,
How long till she goes the Dolly Parton route, though?
yeah, I don't
her
know.
hair's all big. Her
Yeah.
lips are huger than her eyes.
all right. Well, hey, man. Yeah.
Both
Don't
her
be-
eyes put together.
One thing I do admire about Taylor Swift is that she went the you know what heel means? Turning heel means?
Mm-mm.
That's like a wrestling term whenever you turn into a bad guy.
Yeah.
That's why I
I'm
usually
the
say when, like,
bad
yeah.
guy.
That's what you say when all these like younger artists, like Miley Cyrus and then JoJo Siwa.
Oh, dude, JoJo's in the middle of
Thank
it
you.
right
Oh,
now.
that's what I was thinking of.
They turn super heel. Taylor Swift, she kind of had that bad phase, but like it wasn't
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it was that
wasn't,
thing
like-
between her and Katy Perry,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, and
she
then-
didn't go freaking insane. Is what I'm
No,
trying to say.
yeah.
She didn't go bonkers. She didn't go bonkers. Yet somehow she came up, like, oh my gosh, she's more than just a country artist
Right.
now.
Right.
While the other people, it feels like they have to completely change their identity
Yeah.
100% and do things that there's not them, or they over exaggerate essentially the dark side of themselves,
Right.
just to stay relevant.
Well, I think that is kind of what has made Taylor obsolete compared to others, because others have fallen off off the ledge per se of just like being normal,
Right.
you know, and everybody was expecting that of her, and she's like, no,
Right.
I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And you know, and there was a time where she was quiet.
Yeah.
You know, she wasn't really putting out anything. She was really, I don't know why I know this, but I'm going into it. But she was like working on herself and doing her thing, and I'm sure writing music as good artists do. And I have a hunch that this whole like Tortured Poets Society record was all the songs she wrote during that time.
Yeah.
Oh,
And she's like,
interesting.
I got it. Here you go. And you know, again,
Like she had to put out something.
Yeah, it was the scraps and the crumbs of everything, and all of her followers are like, thank you.
That's going to be the new face of our podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah, see, that's the third time, and I'm excited. I want a montage of that, chat.
But yeah, I think you know, this was also a time like, yeah, she's really hot at the moment, and she was doing her thing with the Eras tour. Absolute brilliance.
Yeah.
If she came up with that, kudos to her. But like all the stuff that she had done, like there was a reason why she was the way that she was this whole past year.
Sure.
But also you got to look in the past, like Justin Bieber. Like there was the whole believer stage of everything, and you know, people were going absolutely bonkers for this kid from Canada.
Yep.
And you know, and there was a lot of hate on him too.
Were you a believer?
No. No, I was one of those jerks that was just like a metalhead, and I was like, dude, screw that guy. And
I was a believe atheist.
yeah, there we go.
I hated it so much.
Yeah,
I hated that song.
Yeah.
yeah. We're just a bunch of emo guys over here. Like, I hate the world.
That was
The world hates me.
Mine was a personal vendetta. He stole my crush from me.
Oh, Selena? Selena?
No.
Oh.
I'm talking classmates. Like, there was a girl I was crushing on, and he stole her from me.
Yeah, dude, that's personal.
How'd you lose your girls to like someone they would never meet?
I never had a girl, so I'm just like, you know, it was dumb. Like, it was middle school hate, or I guess high school.
Right.
I think it was 9th grade.
Yeah.
My sister was a believer, and I just like I hated it.
You stole
so
my
much,
sister
dude.
from me.
Well, no, it's just like shut up. I hated my sister at that
Yeah.
point. I was just like, I shut up, like close the door and like put it on loop and everything, and then it was that, and then it was like One Direction, and then it just kind of like went the natural route. I was just like, oh, Owl City was big.
Yeah. So, but all that to say, every artist has a spot in their career where they are just smoking hot.
Oh yeah.
And I believe this was Taylor Swift's, and I don't think she's ever going to have anything of this magnitude ever again.
Sure. And now, how long do you think it's gonna last?
Dude, I think she's done.
I think she's done.
I think she's done right
I think
now.
her cracks are starting to show because her fan base definitely has been split over these two albums. But I think she has one or two really good albums after this that are going to smash, and then maybe they'll be declined.
I was gonna say she boosts economies right now. When the concert's playing in a small town
It's
near
so
you,
true.
like hotels sell out, like small businesses suddenly don't have COVID anymore.
Right.
You know, like,
They're great at this.
But my question now is, I want to talk about. I guess it's not a question. I want to talk about JoJo Siwa. Is that her name?
Yeah, JoJo Siwa.
Oh, gosh.
Can we talk about like hard turning heels?
By the
in your
way,
career?
way past our time, or way past our time, because she got popular in 2020, I think.
Yeah.
as a lot of people did, as we discussed at the
Dude,
beginning.
Yeah. This is one of those things, like, I don't know enough about it
Right.
to, like, say anything.
This
I
is
remember, like,
this is pretty recent.
You've
yeah,
seen
like,
pictures,
this is,
though.
I just knew she was on Dancing with the Stars because my mom
okay.
loves that show.
Gotcha. So JoJo Siwa was basically like the role model for like little girls for probably 2-3 years straight.
Was she
is
like
dangerous.
a YouTuber or something? Was she a YouTuber?
I think she had a
What's that
YouTube
girl that
channel.
played the ukulele and said like get off the gossip train?
I don't know her name, but I know that
But
song.
she ran with her,
Okay,
Was
gotcha.
it Grace Vanderleen or whatever?
something like that.
Vanderlyn?
But she ran with her for a while.
Yeah.
and they were close.
And
so.
she made music, but also she was like the thing, like legitimately, kind of like a mini Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Where like she had, I remember at Target where I worked, she had like little events essentially where they were like merch sales essentially, and you would see like kids freaking rap the block, like little girls trying to buy all this new JoJo Siwa merch. Like she was the thing. And basically, I don't even know what she did. Basically, she was a very positive message. That was her thing. Very positive, like about body image and mental health and stuff like that.
God.
Yeah, very good role model. Well, recently,
I know where this story's going.
I guess the money ran out or something, and she had to make a violent turn in another direction. But she pulled a Miley Cyrus, and she was even inspired by Miley Cyrus apparently. But she like doubled down on it. She's also younger than Miley Cyrus was when she did this, but she
isn't she still like a teenager? Or
yeah,
she...
like you swear she's still 12.
I don't think she's a teenager anymore.
No, okay, let me look. Let me clear this up right now.
Yeah,
I think she's 20.
research.
I could be wrong about that.
I didn't think we were going to talk about her, but let's see.
Here we are.
Nope, 20 years old.
20 years.
20 years
Okay,
old.
so freshly out of the teens.
Freshly out of the teens, and now she basically dresses in all black. She's very provocative in her music videos. The first one she made, basically, it's again not safe for work, but basically it was like as explicit as possible. Just
Very
to go
smutty, huh?
Yeah, go in the complete different opposite direction of what everyone was expecting to get everyone angry, essentially. And that's her essentially that's her way of getting back into relevancy. Even though she was super relevant before, for whatever reason,
Just not the way that she was wanting.
I
mean, I can understand like
I don't feel like this is her though, because
Right.
she didn't even write the song that everyone's like, or that everyone's gushing over.
Memeing?
right.
Not
Yeah,
gushing over.
Memeing, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
They are memeing. She didn't even write that song. And basically, I feel like it's just her producers telling her like, you need to pull a Miley Cyrus, pull heel, essentially,
Right.
because just it's so unbelievably over the top in the other direction. It's so hard not to make fun of it.
Yeah, it's like when Kanye was like, I'm the greatest rock and roll musician of all time. It's like the fact that you're saying you are the greatest rock and roll musician of all time
Yeah.
just states that you are not.
I feel like Kanye actually believed that though. I
Right.
don't think
Yeah.
JoJo
No.
truly believes what she's doing.
Right.
She's just like, well, this is what's gonna make the most money. It's what my producers are telling me to do, so that's what she's doing.
No, I get
So
it.
it's not even like her fault 100%. It's just crazy how like that's what people think would make you famous
Right.
nowadays.
Right.
Even
And
though that was such a that was like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
like
no, yeah.
it's not really a thing anymore.
And like that's the thing, man. Like for me, like when I was telling like my younger self, like, hey, if you're down to live the lie,
Yeah.
live the lie, do it.
Yeah.
And there's some people that are like, I can make my living off of this,
Right.
off just being the bad guy. Okay.
I
I
mean,
think
yeah,
what-
wrestlers do it all the time.
I think what's interesting about her is that she does dress like a wrestler now.
That's the thing, yeah.
Yeah, brother.
Well, what's interesting about her, she was in the game so young that like she had no choice but to be indoctored essentially. So
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's-
It makes you wonder. It's like, man, is she going like just through? Is she going through the identity crisis, or is this just kind of like, no, I know who I am. I'm just living it.
I don't know. It sounds so
Time
fake
will
to
tell.
me. It
Yeah.
sounds so fake to me. I do not believe her when she's saying exactly what you just said. Like, I'm just living my life. I'm being myself now. It does not feel like that at
No.
all. Not that I know her in person, but I'm just like, I've compared it to other people, other
You're right.
artists who have gone through that phase. And typically you can tell when it's real and when it's not.
Oh,
Right.
So we got like 10 minutes left. I wanted to talk about like rebranding. There's people that have done it successfully.
Yeah.
Like Miley Cyrus. She actually like
It worked.
She did it.
She was
Yeah.
the first one to do it, really.
And it was a hard
Killed it.
It was a rug pull because like she was Hannah Montana and she
Yeah.
hated
And then
it.
she was rubbing up on Robin.
Yeah.
That was her. That was
Not Hannah
her.
Montana.
That was her essentially biggest slap to the face to Disney. That was like
Right.
her actually wanting to get back at those people.
yeah.
So yeah, that was like an epic rebranding.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But then you get to JoJo Siwa. Now, of course, it's too early. Time will tell. But
Right.
it's not gonna work. Like I'm sorry.
well, so far, I mean, like legitimately, it played up to the memes, but that's gone in a week. Like you'll forget
Yeah,
about it
absolutely.
so quickly. If anything, she killed her potential of being relevant again
Mm-hmm.
with this.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I guess you would know better. Do you have any other good examples? Successful rebrands or failed
Because you know
rebrands?
so many.
I know so many.
No, we can look at train wrecks from afar.
No, yeah.
You know.
Man, gosh, rebrandings. I mean, I feel like if you're an artist and you're an artist that wants to stay relevant, you're always going to be doing whatever you can to rebrand. There's just some artists that do it more than others.
Yeah.
More? Like people do
Yeah.
it more than once?
I mean,
Or great.
yeah, dude. I think if you're an artist that's worth a dang,
He said, "Dang, guys."
I know. I was told I'm not allowed to curse, so
Sorry,
I'm not
guys.
No, you
gonna.
didn't.
No, until we go heel. Until we go heel.
Yeah, dude.
For now,
yeah.
you're gonna
Can this be our heel?
Oh,
Today's
that's
the day.
Son of a. No. Anyway.
I'm getting naked.
Yeah. Well, man, this escalated quickly.
Wrecking ball falls from the ceiling.
Right. No, I just think if you're a band that's worth anything, man, you're always going to be reinventing yourself and changing and doing something that is progressive to you or your career. And
See, so how does a podcast do that? Like, I don't know about rebranding per se, but like, how would I don't know how would we go about
beyond equipment upgrades and
Right.
just like actual rebranding, like marketing wise. Typically I would see we saw with Logan's podcast, like bring on a third guest who's like consistent basically, and then like cycling them out every few months.
right?
Or maybe it's like when we get our first guest, like a celebrity guest, or something like that. I don't know. It could be something, or just like a total tone change.
Yeah.
Where instead
just
of
like what you guys are talking about.
honestly,
is-
we don't really talk about politics, but that would probably be an
Right.
example of like I've seen podcasts and you talk about H3H3 where like they just went completely political.
Yeah.
Like I could see that as being like a rebranding
And
essentially.
if California's gonna keep doing stupid stuff, I'm all up for talking about that. Like I could talk. I mean, we did that for like 2 episodes.
yeah, we
almost.
talked about
Right.
the minimum wage.
Ooh.
Did you see that? Did you see
That's a
they
good
upped their
episode.
minimum
No.
wage to like $20 an hour for fast food places?
No,
Well, I mean, it's
didn't see that
everywhere,
one.
but yeah.
Well, actually, here's what I learned: small businesses don't have to do it. Like mom and
Really?
pop shops, yes,
Ah.
but it's to hurt major corporations,
Oh,
and hurt major corporations they did because they're about to fire everybody.
interesting.
No, yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
Because I mean, yeah, dude, it's dang near impossible to live
Mhm.
yeah,
right now.
right,
Like,
right. This second,
dude,
yeah.
and dude, if you're living in Cali, yeah,
Mhm.
that's like doubly more the
Dude,
thing.
Big Mac meals over there. Some people are finding like $20 Big Mac meals.
Yuck.
Like one. I went
Dude.
to a place downtown Fort Worth. It's called Salada, and they gave me. And right now, I'm only doing chicken and spinach, so I can get the body I want for the wedding.
Hell yeah.
But do it for 2 weeks, and okay, cool, we're good. You
Accessed.
made me paranoid. No, and it was like a little bit.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, we get to hear that duck again,
Dude, hear the duck.
Quack.
Duck, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But that I did a little bit of spinach and 1 scoop of shredded chicken, $20, and I was like, "This is awful." And my buddy's like, "Yeah, they used to be 12," and I was like, "Oh my, that was like 4 years ago, 5 years ago,
right.
Yeah.
Dude,
overnight."
yeah, and then now you're just spending it on something that's terrible
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah,
Like, dude, I always get the same thing though when I go to McDonald's.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Diarrhea.
You come on.
Thank you.
give me a real take. You're out of here.
No.
McDonald's. What the heck? What's wrong with your body?
Oh, dude, no.
I love McDonald's.
Dude, Mickey D's. I just had it last night. It was really good.
Oh,
and it tore you up.
Caleb is a McDonald's apologist.
I am. Like
I had a McChicken, a spicy McChicken recently.
Dude.
Wasn't bad.
Dude, McDonald's is by far my favorite fast food joint.
Is that so?
Yes, because it's always reliable. You're
Mhm.
going to be getting the same thing always, and it's going to taste pretty much how you want it to.
Mm.
The Coke slaps harder
it
than
does.
any Coke on the face of the earth.
That's intentional. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Joe Rogan actually talked about that on his podcast. Is like
Yeah.
they store it the way it's supposed to be stored.
Yeah.
where
Follow
it's like,
regulations.
right, exactly. Like the every time they get a delivery of Coke, the restaurant gets like here's a recommended how to store it, and McDonald's actually follows it to a T.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
And dude, if only other restaurants did it. So, anyway, I don't
Okay.
know how we got there, but
Mickey D's. Okay, well, what does on our closing thoughts?
oh gosh.
What does a heel look like for Seth? Okay, what would your be like biggest like? I'm breaking out, guys, from the norm. I'm going the opposite direction. What would like your song be about? What would your look be?
Oh man.
What music genre?
Dude, it's so hard because all the things that you're describing right now are just all the things
As a
I
Christian
hate.
artist,
He'd go the full atheist route.
Yeah,
Full atheist.
But like, dude, I
He'd
feel
go to
like
Satan worship actually.
yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, that would
Yeah.
probably be it. But like, I hate that so much because dude, you go on social media. I don't know. I've seen it a lot on my social media. It might just be because I looked at one thing and now it's like the algorithm is like, oh, yeah, you hate the Lord. No, but
I'm saying your hit single would be I Don't Believe.
right.
I'm skeptical.
I'm not a believer.
Yeah, but it's just like you have so many people that are deconstructing their faith publicly.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yo, man, like, okay, you want to like help others that are going through the same situation, but like, let's be real, you're not. You're just, you're pretty much just tearing down anything that you want to tear down. Like that's like your agenda. Let's be real. It's not to help somebody out who's struggling with it, because if you're struggling with it, you're still trying to figure out what's on the other side.
Sure.
These people are usually like, God's not there. There's nothing on the other side. Sorry.
Yeah.
You should hate everything about your life now. Not to say that that's everybody, but that's just like what I'm seeing a lot. And I hate that. Like, okay, if you're going to deconstruct and do your thing, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, and just do it. And like, I don't care if you're going to deconstruct, like, just, you're
What
not.
do you gotta talk about to us about it,
But even then, then there's the other side. It's like, well, you're a Christian and you tell everybody about the Lord. Why can't I just do the same? And it's like, well, good point.
That's the thing. I've noticed so many deconstructors, and I'm not really a fan of them either. Because, like you said, why are they posting about it on social unless they just want people to hate on them and kind of reinforce where they're going with it?
Right.
You know what I mean?
But there is another side of that. Like, I hate it when like worship leaders like post themselves worshiping. Like, or like when they.
Oh, you mean like they take a picture of themselves?
Yeah,
or
like the like the influencer that is like a worship leader and all that stuff. It's like, no, dude, like that's between you and the Lord still.
Yeah.
Like, take care of that. And it's like, dude, if you really want to change somebody's life, go get coffee with them. Go hang out with them.
Yeah.
Get to know who they are. Like,
well, I'm glad you're impartial and you're fair. Like, oh, well, to be fair, Christians are also annoying.
Yeah.
And that is true. I agree with you 100%.
Right.
But I mean, how else are you supposed to, if you're a worship leader and you're trying to make your own music, how else are you supposed to gain followers?
right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And dude, if that's your prerogative, then if you're wanting to gain followers, that's a way to do it.
Yeah. Like, how else are you supposed to get noticed if you're not like, and that's the thing. People are suckers. Any demographic, Christians, Swifties, believers, all of them, they're suckers, right? So, if that's what people fall for it, like if you're self-serving, but all you got to do is there's a movie about this. They're deconstructing how we can rip off as many Christians as possible.
Right.
They're like the heads of a church. Like, okay, so when you're worshiping, make sure your hands are like this, like close your eyes, and like if you have to go like this, like to just really switch it up every now and then. They're studying this to gain as many as to take up a big offering at the end.
The Christian genre, actually, the worship genre, is like the cheapest and easiest to get into. I heard that a long time ago. I mean, it's true.
And,
it is.
Yeah, that's very true.
I respect the hustle. At the end of the day, stuff like that, it's also a business.
Yeah. It is.
That's what it is.
The church is a business. Yeah. It needs money to function.
Sure.
And all that. And I understand that, like, you're, as somebody who was a part of it and did it, like, yes, you wanted to put yourself out there, possibly get that opportunity to, But again, like, I'd say a lot of it all has to deal with the heart.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
And if your heart's right, usually most of the time, you're not going to be posting about it, not to say that if you are posting about whatever you're doing, I'm like, your heart's not right, because your heart could be.
Sure.
I don't know. I guess more so, like, I can speak from within that, like, that's just me.
Right.
I know if I'm posting stuff about my self-leading worship or just being like, oh, wow, God really did this. It's like, no, it's like, I really did that. And I'm just going to put God in front of it just to say, like, oh, hey, he's not a complete douchebag. That is just, but that's me. That's something I have to wrestle with. So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess with that, we can close out. Guys, as you know, we could talk all day.
We could, man. This is a lot of fun.
Good. It's glad to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having on, Seth. I really appreciate it. It was good to meet you today and also have you on the show. And I hope the audience enjoyed too. I really do. I had a great time. So
100%.
With that, we're going to call it today. So guys, we'll see you next time.
So goodbye.
Goodbye. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Hopefully see you next week, but I'm getting married soon, so that might mess things up. All right, we'll see y'all next time, guys.
Bye.